Hi, good afternoon, Professor, Doctor. Um, Tara Roth, sign language interpreter. I'm the one who brought in the idea of sign language, and it does fascinate me very much and how it interacts with spoken language. Um, I've been in, just so you know a little of my background, I've been an interpreter for going on 30 years, actual for a working interpreter this year. And I kind of grew up around it because my mother is an interpreter as well. And she's actually a trilingual interpreter, so she also does Spanish. My ex-husband was trilingual. And my best friend is straight from Cuba. She came into Miami. So I really respected what you said about making sure that the students there are heard and understood with the concept of multilingual. I would like to know more about it. I don't agree or disagree yet. I don't think I have enough information. I'm just kind of curious as well about why lingual would not encompass every language and every combination of languages. Why you pull one out and make it its own section. I guess because pulling it out sometimes can make it special and bring a different perspective on it, but sometimes it can also say that this one's different. So it's not a lingual, it's a multilingual, but you don't, but it is lingual at the same time. So I'm just not sure how, if you could explain that or clarify it for me. I'm just having a hard time finding out, seeing why lingual wouldn't encompass everything on that end. And encompassing everything, why lingual, the definition we have in class is for spoken and written. Um, it is a newer concept for sign language that has no spoken and no written. It doesn't exist. They will borrow from the cultures around them, a lot like the British show, baking show, which I love, by the way, so I agree with you. Um, a lot of people who use their sign systems will borrow the language they're with for reading, writing, and communication with hearing people who don't know sign language. But it is not their language. So in America, we actually have three different types of sign language. We have ASL, which is truly, truly its own language. That's one that does not have any written, does not have any spoken language. It has completely different grammar, has completely different mouth morphemes. You won't even see the English on the mouth like you do. A lot of people are like, but I see their lips moving. It has different mouth morphemes. What a lot of people end up seeing is case. Case is somewhere in between. It kind of covers the gamut of deaf people who maybe are primarily English in language because that's how they were raised, and deaf who are familiar with ASL. So it would use conceptually accurate signed concepts. So if I said run, I would delineate which run do I mean. Am I running for president, running to the store, my nose running, the run my stockings. So that's where we have that one. And then we have one other one, which is C sign, which is signed exact English. And that's where they don't really care about the concepts anymore. They just are giving you words. And words would be like they would actually sign for butterfly, the sign for butter, actual butter, and to fly. So conceptually, there is no meaning. That means nothing to a beautiful little insect that's flying around. But because your English would be strong enough, you'd understand putting those two together, butterfly, you're going to put the words in. That one isn't as common anymore. A lot of people will see case, but the actual deaf community would use ASL, American Sign Language. There's also subsets. There's Black Sign Language in America as well. So technically those aren't all of them. There's more. I only know a few Asian interpreters. I haven't gotten to get into that. Asian Sign Language interpreters, I should say, not spoken language. So it ends up being very fascinating. I work a lot with trilinguals who do Spanish, English, and American Sign Language. American Sign Language is the second language to most people around the world, so they will learn their sign system. A lot of times their second sign system, if they were to learn another one, would be American. A lot of people's second language would be English, spoken language. So again, all this I find fascinating. And I said British sign completely different from ours. Our cousins our actual roots are in French sign language. We are cousins to Russian sign language, and that's all about the history of how everybody got taught. We are also mixed with some Native American signs as well as just language as it keeps changing over time. So again, it becomes interesting. Also, if that contestant lip reading, just know lip reading is really hard. A lot of people think that deaf people do it. It's actually not many deaf people lip read as much as they think. And even the good ones, they usually get 30% of what's said and fill in the rest with context clues. So, which is a different challenge. So, but yes, I've worked a lot like the interpreter you saw. This morning I worked with somebody who also does verbalize and knows English. Most deaf can use their voice, they choose not to. Actually, all the ones I've ever met can use their voice, they choose not to. So some people have the concept of deaf mute, and it's not that either. Um, so anyway, needless to say, all of this comes together to be fascinating to me. And yeah, I think that's a big start of what I wanted to do. I think I got in everything. I've recorded this a few times, so I think I've got it down to 5.5 minutes instead of almost 8 minutes. So I would love to keep talking about it, very much so. And I'd love to lean into culture and how culture impacts language. Just had that happen today with signing for being pregnant, and the idea that most throughout America, ASL will use pregnant. Midwest tends to use pregnant, which means that they got busted. Like, oop, you got busted, you're pregnant. And then I just found out that in Black sign language, which they do have their own vernacular, they will sign pregnant. And it brings up the idea of being stuck or trapped. That is the sign for stuck or trapped. And so when they do it, that version, that says so much about their culture. And their culture is actually bringing in a huge amount of the meaning in the choices of signs that represent the concepts they're sharing. So anyway, I almost want to say this is my love language right now. So now I'm up to 6 minutes, so I'm going to let you go, and hopefully we can keep talking.